Wait, before you, oh shoot, never mind.
Hi guys, welcome to tonight's team call, Monday, May 30th. As you can all see, we have a new face on this call tonight. I'd like to welcome Atul. We spoke recently in the last week and he had a call with my dad and we really just spoke about how aligned we are in our values, spirituality, growth, inner harmony, freedom, all that stuff that we talk about all the time. He was right there up our alley. What really stood out to me about him is that he knows what he wants to do. He knows that he wants to leave a mark on this world. He knows how he wants to do it. And he's really looking for that independence of time, that community and wellness really stands out to him. So Matu, I'd love for you to just introduce yourself to the team and share a little bit about why you wanted to be part of this community and a little bit about what your goals are.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here. Michael, I did hear you, but my audio isn't connected. But the suit, thanks for that. I'm not wearing a suit tonight, unfortunately. So I initially came across Savannah because of the content that she was posting. That's what intrigued me to send her a message. There were things that she was posting that I resonated with, that I aligned with, that I practice on my own. And I have friends that have similar values, but not as many of them. And so that's why I want to reach out to see what she was building, what she's creating. And I'm always looking to build and create and grow. So that's how I came across this opportunity and everything. As for what I'm looking for today, I'm just dropping in, seeing what this session's about, what you guys are working to build and create, and try to leave a mark, leave something greater than ourselves, which is how I assume everybody else is here. Yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody else and learning what we're doing.
Thank you for sharing.
Every meeting on Monday.
And I have to say, he actually found me, guys, through a tunnel web, and he saw my highlights, my highlight that says work with me. He was looking at my highlights. So a very important note that I want to make here is what you share on your stories is important. What you keep on your page is important because he actually found me by going through literally like recommendations from different people that he knew and then randomly popped up on my page. And then when he went through what I was about, he could see what I was talking about. So always keep that in mind. Whatever you post, keep it on your page. It's really important because you never know who's going to come across it whenever they're going to come across it. So that being said, we have my dad on for the next 23 minutes. So I do want to put the focus on him, and then we'll get back to our talk and our community. And I think tonight he was going to share with us, well, number one, we do have our goals that we set for the month of June for those that are wanting to be part of the leadership group. We have, Elena, what did we outline? It was
the conditions to be eligible for the leadership group. Over the month of June, you have to have completed at least 5 ABCs, as well as attend every Monday night call promptly with your camera on, actively engaged. That's over the entire duration of June. And then once those conditions have been met by the end of June, you'll now be eligible, and it'll obviously still be a choice, but you'll be eligible to join one of the positions on the leadership team. Those are for individuals on our team right now who are not currently silver and above and aren't currently eligible, essentially. So that's the period that we're given. And then obviously you have the 3-month window once you're on the team to hit silver. And we go from there.
Yeah, so we just
everyone have that written down. I mean, obviously, if that's something that you're interested in doing, and hopefully it'll help create a little bit more motivation and inspiration for getting your business and momentum growing over the next month.
And so, Papa, can you just, some words of wisdom in that? And I think what we wanted to do is share a little bit about Nikken's history and, the founder and how it was started, because we don't actually think, we're recognizing that the team doesn't actually know the history of Nikken and what makes it so special. So I'd love for you to just take it away.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Welcome, everybody. There's the history of Nikken, and there's my history with Nikken in terms of where I met Nikken. But let me go back. One of the a person who has had one of the greatest influences for me in my life, especially as a mentor and a coach in Nikken, is Larry Profit. And I shared on your group chat a video that Larry had done not that long ago, where he shared his perspective of Nikken, because he was there at its foundation. He was there at the beginning, and he's a North American, but he had a huge hand, as you listen to this story, as to how Isamu Masuda, the founder of Nikken, actually came into network marketing and founded the company. So Larry is tied directly to the inspiration behind the foundation of this company. So it's a great story, and he is an incredible storyteller. Imagine the sessions that I've had with him over the years, listening and learning from him and the stories. He's one of the best storytellers I've ever heard, and coaches. He was the original author of the Humans Being More personal development curriculum at Nikken. And he was actually brought in for that reason, to help Isamu Masuda get Nikken off the ground, because from its inception, from the very beginning, Humans Being More, the motto of Nikken, is not just lip service. It was actually the reason Nikken exists. And so Larry was brought in as the developer of the curriculum to help with the personal development course that kicked off many people's introduction to personal development. I had never been to a personal development course until January of 1992, when I was introduced to Larry, who facilitated the Humans Being More training in Toronto. And when Nikken launches a country, that's what they launch. They set up a Humans Being More training, and they invite distributors from around the world to invite guests, friends, associates to that training to learn about what it means to be humans being more, the 5 pillars of health, and how that governs our life. And that's preceding people learning about Nikken as a business opportunity. So that should tell you a lot about what is the real agenda behind Nikken. So to take you back to that story, Isamu Masuda, he was born during World War II. His father was actually killed during World War II, and in Japan. And Masuda was always very sickly as a young boy. Very, very thin man, very frail, always sick. The story we've been told is that his mother used to whisper into his ear, for you to have a happy, healthy life, you will have a balanced life. She used to share affirmations to him. You'll have a healthy body. You'll have a healthy family. You'll have a healthy purpose in society. She would whisper that into his ears. And so that left quite an impression for him. That's the source of the 5 pillars of health, the philosophy of Nikken. So when Masuda was introduced to network marketing, it was by Larry Profit for another network marketing company expanding from North America into Japan. Masuda was he cleaned buses for a living in Fukuoka, Japan. His son, Koji, was born with no ears, the inner part, but not the external. That was a very huge hit on the psychology and emotion of Mr. Masuda, of course, being born or being sickly all his life, being in a situation post-war Japan, and now having to earn an income that would require much medical attention for his son to give his son a fighting chance to have a normal life. That prompted Masuda to explore other ways of generating income, from which came his interview with Larry Profit and the introduction to network marketing. At the time, there was some research being done in Japan on the efficacy of magnetics for health and well-being. Simultaneously, Masuda was very enamored with the pebbles, the concept of in Japan, in the public bathhouses, they have pebbles on the floor. And they do that on purpose because they want you to walk on them. They stimulate the reflex points of the feet. So with that combination, with that idea of mind, if we go there to feel well, why not just bring that to people every day? And he invented the insoles. Combine that with the magnetics, and that was the first product that was introduced by Nikken in 1975, a pair of magnetic insoles. And for 4 years, that was all they had. And they became a billion-dollar company. That was the fastest growth in the history of Japanese business until that point in time. Quite an accomplishment with a person who cleaned buses for a living, and all of a sudden he finds himself at the front end of a moving train going at lightning speed for business. So the impact of those insoles are enormous, very demonstrable. If you haven't had that demo, we can send you the video of me doing the demo. I can't remember who I was doing it on, but It's very profound to see instantaneously the difference between a person on and off the insoles in terms of their energy and their balance. So with that story, launched this company. So all of a sudden now, Masuda, who was not trained in business, who did not have a formal education, finds himself as the CEO and chairman founder of a company that's doing $1 billion. So he quickly started to assemble a team of people, one of which is a man by the name of Toshiba Watanabe, who is actually the abacus champion of Japan. So an incredibly intelligent human being, and he is the current owner of Nikken. And so he brought Toshiba in as a business associate and partner to help manage the growth of the company and others. And as the company began to expand into countries neighboring in Asia, they started to also expand their product line, which included as you've seen, the roller, the Mag Duo, and the sleep system. Those were the front runners, particularly the sleep system. And so they started to explore this effect of this magnetism. It was almost as if they would invent something and see how amazing the results would be, and then they would try to understand the results. It was the weirdest way of inventing stuff, but it was simply based on what they had learned from the Japanese, from the Russians and the Germans who've been working with magnetics. And by the way, what they call the issue that we in North America, they call it magnetic field deficiency syndrome. In North America, they call it fibromyalgia. So they were learning that we all suffer to some degree of a magnetic field deficiency because of our lifestyle. And especially if you're living in a city, especially if you're living higher in high rises, because you're further removed from the actual physical effects of the Earth's magnetic field. It's a depreciating effect exponentially as you rise up away from the Earth's surface. So what we learned in those early stages was that Nikken was sort of like a tiger by the tail. They had something that they didn't even know how powerful it was. And as they learned about it, they began to explore other ways of utilizing this technology. With that in mind as well, they started to expand. Now, their original business model was that they would provide somebody with the rights to an area, like a region, like for instance, Ontario or something like that. And that person would then be able to bring on distributors and manage their business the way they would operate. So it was a very direct sales model in its inception, and is heavily still relying on a direct sales model as opposed to just simply a network marketing model. That's why there's such a retail opportunity available with Nikken. In any event, when Toshiba was asked to expand into North America, he was to be the president of Nikken North America and come to North America at a time when it was questionable as to whether North Americans were even ready for this information. And that was in 1989. They founded Nikken in the US. Only at that time, it was primarily through the Asian population, because again, Asians would know Asians, they would understand the technology, the concepts, and they would expand through a direct sales model. It wasn't until the first few network marketing pros looked at Nikken and helped redesign the compensation plan to a more network marketing style compensation plan that Nikken really started to show some legs. And then they took off. And in 1992, they were introduced to the Canadian marketplace. I was one of the people who got the call from a friend, not knowing, how important this was. But at that time, Nikken had already was doing billions of dollars. They were operating in, I think, they'd done 14 or 16 billion dollars, something like that. They were in 8 countries. Nikken Canada was the 9th country. And yeah, so when I learned about Nikken, most of you have heard my story. I was at a time in my life where I wasn't going anywhere fast. I mean, I was an aspiring musician. I was looking to break into the music business and, make a career out of that, while at the same time I'd graduated from aerospace engineering, yet I had no interest in being an aerospace engineer. That was just simply my academic side. But when Nikken landed at my doorstep, it was a good time because my back had been injured as a result of a car accident. And so suddenly then, this idea of being able to relieve this injury with these magnetics, while it sounded kooky, I was open to anything at the time because I'd tried everything and nothing helped. Not physio, not chiropractic care, not massage therapy, nothing was helping me. And in 15 minutes, with one of these things on my back, I had relief. And so that created the curiosity that I needed to dig into this a little bit further. And within 48 hours, not a long time, like some people take a long time to think about stuff, and they think they have all these options and all that. But it took me 48 hours to go from not knowing anything about Nikken to sinking my teeth into it. And I came up with a simple plan. My plan was get help. And I recommend that be your plan. It is still the plan that I feel is the most effective. Look for people who are willing to contribute to the whole. So you've got to have a picture about what the whole is. What are you doing here? Nikken's vision for 2025 is to attract 10 million new active wellness members. What's your piece of that? What's your contribution to that? Because that's why you're here. If you're here to take, you won't be here very long. If you're here to create, you've got an endless opportunity. It's captivated me for 30 years, and I didn't think anything would be interesting enough to captivate me for 30 years, especially wanting to be a singer, songwriter, travel the world as a musician. So you think about it. Somebody wants to live a life like a famous musician, that kind of freedom and the attention and so forth. Imagine finding a business that would capture your heart and your imagination, that would capture that and keep you into it that long. That's Nikken for me. That philosophy is quite real. Anyway, so a little bit more about Nikken's history. So Larry Profit was again brought in as the head trainer for Nikken in North America and launched the Nikken Humans Being More program here. It used to be called Silver Training, and Silver being our first leadership rank kind of made sense. But yours truly kept arguing with the company and Larry agreed with me one day that if Humans Being More is who we are and what we're about, that's our ultimate product, then the training shouldn't be Silver Training. It should be Humans Being More Training. So they actually changed the name on my behalf. And that's why we have the Humans Being More training. It's a foundational training. Unfortunately, it's only available online. It has been only available online since COVID. And it's a shadow of the real program. The real program is 2 days. So if you hear about a Humans Being More training that they're going to do live and in person anywhere in North America, just jump on a plane and get there. Do it. I'm going to get one here. We have to have a minimum number. So you guys want to do this? Do this with me. We'll have Jeff, who is the head of Nikken's training department. He'll come here, the chancellor of Nikken University. He'll come here and he'll do a Humans Being More training for your group. But we need to have 30 people. So if we can commit to that, you guys are going to have an experience and a half.
That's also like literally like a personal development training.
It is. And it's extremely foundational. Some of you guys have already explored stuff like that, but there's a difference when you do it together as a team. My first Humans Being More training in January of 1992, I was one of 42 members of my team. And I'll tell you something, when you go with 40 members of your team to an event, I don't care what the event is, but if it's one that has that kind of depth and hits people on such an emotional level, you're going to come away more than a team. You're going to come away with, with vision, with mission, with purpose, with relationships that are so deep and profound, friendships that I have still to this day as a consequence of that event. So, I mean, it's a big deal. And, if we're here to have fun and make a difference and make money and get the most out of life, you want stuff that has high horsepower, high octane. You don't want fluff. You don't want to minimize your time and your efforts. So Nikken is all about maximizing. We've got the best technology for air, water, sleep, nutrition. I mean, we're maximizing our performance with those products and technologies. Our compensation plan maximizes your ability to leverage the Nikken system and create freedom of time. So does anybody have a question? I got a few more minutes here that you'd like to know maybe specifically about Nikken. I can tell you a couple of other things. Of course, Nikken, when they came to North America, great success story. They were doing about 40 million in sales in North America when I joined. In Canada, they had been about 45 million 2 years in a row. So good growth, good stable business, but not explosive growth. Then I came on board, a few of us came together and we created a thing called Team Diamond. And that is when Nikken took off like a rocket. Team Diamond is what you think it is, a team of diamonds. Nikken field leaders at the diamond rank came together, and we formulated a strategy to have events once every quarter in a major city in North America. And we would ask people to come to that city for a major event. And it was that event and that stage that enabled us to attract Bob Proctor to the scene. And Bob Proctor became sort of the resident mentoring coach in the personal development field. So it was an ongoing curriculum that many of us learned all about the concepts of the law of attraction, the science of getting rich, and everything that lead the field and so forth, which if you're not running that type of a program in parallel with your business is going to be flat. Your business is in direct proportion to the growth of the people of your business. So if your business doesn't have that component as front and center stage, you just have a two-dimensional business. It's not going to be something that's going to capture minds and imaginations. So what Nikken has always been for me and for the people that I grew up with in Nikken was this personal development plan with a compensation plan. You know, it's an incredible combination. And so what we're in the throes of with you guys right now, you guys are literally the only group in North America of this age bracket. There are people scattered here and there that may be in their 20s, but they're not in a group. They're not a front. You wouldn't know them unless you happen to see them recognized for silver or something once in a blue moon. Like this past month, I think we had a 30-year-old or something like that that was just recognized. But there's not a front. There is not a cohesive team coming together to literally be the face of Nikken going forward. That's what you guys represent. And that's huge because I know what it's like to be on the front end of this thing. I had a year where I earned 2.6 million in 1 year. That was my big year. I've had a check for over 303,000 in 1 month. So I know what it's like to get big checks. I had my first $100,000 a month when I was 33. So actually it was kind of an interesting month. My daughter was born, I became a Royal Diamond, and I got a $100,000 check from Nikken. It was quite an important year in my life at 33. So I know what it feels like to be in that type of an environment and to create that type of an environment. And right now, I'm not looking to do that with people my age. I'm looking to do that by being your surrogate coach, your you know, that person in the background that says, guys, this is what it takes. This is what you need to do, and help you choreograph that so that you become the movers and shakers of the industry, of the field. Somebody is going to be responsible for this growth. 10 million new active wellness members. Somebody is going to be the face of this. And I don't mean one person. I mean, a group of you are going to be the diamonds and Royal Diamonds who make this thing fly. And now's the time. It's not next year. It's not last year. It's right here. It's right now. There is nothing else but right here, right now. And I know Masuda, who I had the opportunity to meet on several occasions, who I almost get a hard time not crying when I think of him and speak of his name, because he was probably the most spiritually advanced human being I've ever met in my life. And he didn't speak a word of English. I spoke to him through a translator. And there's a photograph of me and him. I have it in one of my PowerPoints. We were on a yacht. We were sailing in the San Diego Bay for one of the President's Club's VIP dinner galas things. And he was there. Zig Ziglar, famous world-renowned speaker, was there. Koji, his son Koji, was there. And I was just I was a diamond in Nikken. I was making probably about 30 grand a month. And I was still teeter-tottering between whether or not I should be a Nikken or should be a musician. Believe it or not. I mean, that's what I was thinking at the time. I wasn't sure if I was at the right place, if Nikken was where I was supposed to be. Ever have that feeling? Well, here I am. Think about it. 30 grand a month, a diamond, one of the movers and shakers in Nikken, and still questioning whether or not this is the place I'm supposed to be, because I know I'm supposed to be somewhere important. I'm supposed to be doing something really important. And so I'm standing in front of Masuda at this event, on this boat. He's in a tux, I'm in a tux. I have this photograph. It's a moment in time. And somebody snapped the shot just when I'm listening to his response to a question that I asked. It was the simplest question, but his response was so profound. That was the moment I knew I was at the right place. So I asked him, did you ever imagine being at the center of such a success story, having so much success in your life? And the translator, who was Ria Kendall, she said something in Japanese, speaking to him what I asked him. Then he spoke to her something in Japanese, and then she turns to me and she says, Mr. Masuda said, no, he didn't. He was just interested in health, and he thought others might be as well. I'm like, wow. This is the CEO, the founder of a multinational, multi-billion-dollar company, and that's his answer? I thought that was the most humble answer anybody could have given. He didn't sit there and say, yes, son, we knew we had a success story. We knew we were going to be great. And wait till you see what comes next. We have so much in store. He didn't talk like that at all. No ego whatsoever. It was he had no idea it'd be this big. And he was just interested in health, and he thought others might be as well. Wow. And this is what you created as a consequence, this multinational, multi-billion-dollar movement that to this day, 47 years later, is still going strong. I mean, what does it take who do you have to be to inspire that type of a movement? You have to be somebody who has been anointed. You've got a manifest destiny. You have something to have given this world, and it's whatever it is, it's got a life of its own. It's going to go on and on. He passed away in 2020. It was a sad day when we heard about it, but I stayed in touch with his son, Koji, who is definitely his father's son. So just to give you a little bit of a history of Nikken, because it's such a beautiful company with such a heart of gold, founded by a man who had such a heart of gold. It's love. Nikken's love. The vibration, the frequency of love is Nikken. You want to talk metaphysics, guys? I could spend all night with you. You want to talk frequency, vibration, you want to talk, consciousness, man, that's my stuff. And I can tell you right now, everything has a frequency, and the frequency of Nikken is love. So if that's something you're in harmony with, you're going to love it here, because the people who are naturally attracted to being here and who stay, they stay because they find that that's in resonance with them. It's in harmony with them. And can you make money being somebody who's, mushy like this? Hell yeah. Because it is a business. It does have purpose. It has meaningful products. It has a compensation plan that's extremely rewarding, but you got to learn how to make it work for you. And so it's not a one-stop shop. It's not going to be overnight success. It's going to take some time. And if you give yourself that time and you commit, you're the face of Nikken. What do you think that's going to be worth financially when Nikken's doing 10 billion a year in business? So that's what's at stake here. And, it's sad for me sometimes when I see, members of your group chat leave, and I think, they came for what? They heard it all, but it didn't go in. It didn't go past their ears. It didn't get into their heart. Because once this thing gets into, we have a saying in Nikken, first you get into Nikken, and then Nikken gets into you. So once that happens, you're unstoppable. And, everything that this is, it's life, it's love, it's liberty, it's empowerment, it's health, it's well-being, it's balance, it's energy. Well, tell me where we're wrong. What have we missed here? So I've got to jump off. I'm supposed to be a speaker on another call right now 3 minutes ago, so I better leave. And you guys have a great call, and I look forward to, by the way, so Sophia's finally landing. Elena, you're coming as well this month. So when they convene, when they get back, we got to have a big get together at my place. Yeah. I got the patio furniture out, had all the whole patio stuff all done this past week. So we're ready to do something big. And we can plan an event. We can plan a big event. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Definitely. Thank you so much, Theo.
Okay, guys, have a good one.
Appreciate it.
I love that story. I love
Me
the way,
too.
I think there's such a lesson to that like you just how Masuda answered my dad saying that, you know, he just had an interest in health and he thought other people would too. That could apply to anything that you have an interest in, but it really just goes to show that like the energy that you're coming
Mhm.
from makes the biggest difference in who you're attracting, what you're creating. Everything has to do with the energy that we're putting out there. So that's why it's so important to do the little things and to show up with our energy, to be aware of where our energy is at, what we're doing, how we're acting, because that's going
Yeah.
to attract the people. The exact same vibration that we
Yeah.
are is what we are going to attract.
Yeah. I know. I was thinking the same thing. Like something I've gotten into the habit of doing with myself recently is number one, giving myself the time and space to ride the emotional highs and lows before making certain decisions, because we go through all of those phases. But number two, checking in with myself with respect to how I'm responding. Like, where is this response coming from? What's my intention behind this response? And if I'm in a reactive state, I'll take a moment and wait and pause before I move forward with even just something as simple as following up on a conversation that I'm having with an individual who's looking to learn more. I'm constantly asking myself, again, like what resonance, what energy am I sitting with, and where am I coming from when I'm interacting with this person? And I think my uncle touched on one of the most valuable points when it comes to the nature of success, the nature of our world, and how we build and create in a way that's true and meaningful. And that is focus on the impact. When you focus on the impact, when you come from a place of service, the income, the abundance, the resources, everything follows. This was the number one message that was driven home throughout the entire event of the Most Powerful Women in Network Marketing. And it's actually something that I realized as much as I am focused, like as much as I am driven by the impact, and I think about big picture vision and what we want to co-create and what we want to, you know, have a hand in, what legacy we want to leave behind, that can also be integrated into the day-to-day activities, into the small little, you know, actions and steps that are moving the needle forward. For instance, when we're setting goals for ourselves, rather than saying I want to make, which I think is still important, set those individual objectives, but rather than just saying I want my monthly income to be X amount, it's how many people do I want to help create a sustainable, viable income stream? Like, how many people do I want to help put in a position of wealth creation? To me, I feel like that's a goal that I can connect with much more deeply. It's a goal that'll actually inspire aligned action for me to take. As much as it is important to focus on the objectives that we want to hit individually for ourselves, just thinking about the intention behind how we're actually going to take action on those goals. So I think that my uncle, in terms of sharing that story, did a really great job of highlighting a very fundamental principle when it comes to success and what we want to create here as a team and as a community. The vibration of love. We are looking to extend that forward because Nikken really is about love, guys. The whole, like from the very beginning. So I'm happy to be a part of that. I hope you guys are too. What did you guys think though? I don't know if some of you have heard the story before. I don't know if it was your first time hearing it. So I would love to know some of your thoughts and takeaways.
That was my first time hearing that story, and I thought it was like amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how else to describe it, but it was just such a nice story. Even hearing about like the founder of Nikken and his story, like I didn't even know who he was until today.
I know.
So really informative and really inspiring. Such genuine origins to the business, you know, and I think that's important.
Absolutely.
I also feel like it's already been like what 40 something 50 years that we've been doing that Nikken has been doing this, and I feel like that same like energy and feeling has been carried through like this whole time, because when I learned about this business in the first place, it was leading with like helping others and service and all of those things, and like that's what I try and carry through with my business. And I think it's like so heartwarming to know that that's truly how it started, and like that that because of its authenticity, like you can see how much it's proven itself.
Yeah, I remember when we were sitting down with the current CEO, Luis was one of the first conversations that we ever had when we got started with all of this. And he said something like, bad news travels fast, whereas good news travels very, very slowly. And like, even just the idea alone that Nikken's existed for 46 years and that their message, their community just continues to grow. Like, to me, that's something that is so like grounded, so foundational, and so sustainable. Like, I don't know how else you could have such a massive impact for such a long period of time, and for it not to be something that's rooted in a higher vibration of love, rather than fear, rather than anything else that we see, majority of what we see in our world. So I agree with that, Tim. And I appreciate you sharing that. What else? What are some other thoughts, guys? I love the story. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, I think there's like a whole other conversation to be had about what Mike said about like frequency and energy and vibration, you know. We talk about that sometimes, but like having a separate call to dive into that would be awesome too. Like just quantum physics, like 101, you know.
That could be next Monday's call. Like, that's an important training, I think, at the end of the day. Like, I think it's a foundational training, right? Get your energy straight, and then everything else in your world will start to shift.
Yeah. And like, just be mindful of your energy when you're doing something, like, but like you mentioned, Elena, like when you're either discerning whether you're reacting to something or responding to something, and that energy like that we are holding when we're sharing, like that is felt through our posts and through our tone and what we're typing and like our texts and stuff. So
yeah. And I want to be so honest and transparent with you guys, because I also understand like how difficult it is to maintain that kind of integrity in your energy, especially when you're starting your business. Because I think we still walk the line of, I need to do this for myself. Like, even when we're having a conversation with someone, like for instance, you're inviting someone to learn about the business, and maybe you don't have many team members right now. So we put a lot of pressure and focus on that one person where we almost feel like we need them. And it starts to come from a place of not desperation, but, you know, like it's not as authentic when it comes to interacting with them, as opposed to, I know where I'm at. I know the opportunity and the value that I have to offer, and I would love to help this person in some form or another. It's a very different frequency. And I know it's difficult in the beginning because we're still in the process of building something individually. So we're walking both of those lines, but I think they go hand in hand, because you can't have selflessness, I think, without selfishness. But again, it comes back to the energy behind how we're actually reacting, how we're responding, how we're interacting and engaging. So it's not easy, I will say that, and we can be very honest about that. But I think the more we can have these conversations together, the better it'll be to fine tune that frequency to come back into alignment.
I'd like to know, what's the energy that everyone's at tonight? Is there anything that anyone needs help with once? So we didn't really plan a training tonight. We just had my dad speaking, but it's good because it leaves us opportunity for flow and conversation. But I do want it to be, you know, to give us some value and some involved. So do you guys have any questions, like something that you're needing help with right now?
Yeah.
Or is a topic that you want to talk
about? Literally anything. Could be literally anything. Maybe we can start doing that on our Monday night calls, like even just set like 2 minutes. I was going to say 5, but we waste a lot of time. 2 minutes in the beginning of the call to be like, what's one thing somebody needs help with right now?
Yeah. We should like talk about having like calls to go over like the contact and invite script again, and like little things like that, because I feel
you need a refresher of contact and invite.
I just feel like I have had the conversations and they're just not really natural, you know, and like I really need to get into builder mode again, because
one thing I would say, take a look at, we have it posted on YouTube, guys. If you're not joining and I know some people work on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so if you can't join on those calls, do your due diligence on going
back.
YouTube, go to the group and look at those calls, because that question that you just asked, we addressed that last Thursday's call. Labeled how to build a business on social media. So I'm actually rewatching it. It's around the 30-minute. Soph does a really good job in speaking about how to speak to somebody. And I'm actually right now, so we started the leadership team, just so you guys know. And next week, we're gonna be coming to you guys with values and some other things. So we have that being coming together. But, one of those things is, do your work on it, right? Like, be resourceful in finding what you need, because there's an answer to every question you have. Just look for it and ask for it. If you can't find it, ask for it.
Yeah.
So, go back on that recording because it's there.
Even the very first recording that Soph ever made, like that one is still just as relevant today as it was when she first created it. So if you feel like you need a refresher on the contact and invite, these resources are available to you. Yeah, it's great to come back to it, every now and again as a group, but I just think as a more efficient way, and honestly, like Savannah said, to teach each one of us resourcefulness. Because if you've been an employee your whole life, the fact of the matter is we don't spend much of our time creating solutions to our own problems. We look to other people to solve them in some ways. We outsource our power in a lot of ways. So we need to take that power back, and we need to start to become more resourceful for ourselves, ask the questions, but also look for the answers.
It's a pattern. It's a paradigm that we're used to, and it's something that we're unlearning.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I also wanted to mention, I feel like we've talked about this many, many, many times, but it just came to me because I was thinking back to what my uncle was talking about. Even when you listen to the origins and the story of how Nikken was created, it wasn't a businessman who was looking to make billions or generate all this income and be successful in life. That wasn't his motive in any way. He was driven by the need to help his son, right? He cared about health, but more than anything, he needed the income, substantial income, to be able to help his son with his condition and treatment. So there was a reason, like the income was was a means to the end goal, his reason why. So if you feel disconnected, again, we've said this many times, but if you find yourself feeling disconnected from your daily activity, if you find yourself feeling disconnected from builder mode or for whatever it is that you need to do in this business to actually build a successful and impactful business, reconnect with your why. And if you do not have a why, then you need to start right there.
We've talked about the law of attraction so many times, right? If we don't know what we're attracting, then it's like, unless you have it, it's like the date with destiny, right? Unless it's a date with destiny, you're not going to ever have what you're asking for, because you're not being clear on what you're asking for. You need a need. Like if you want $10,000, you need a need for that.
What do you need it for? Yeah, like what are you going to use that money for?
Okay, I need 5,000 for my trip to Vegas. I need like whatever your need is, you need to outline what those $10,000 are for, so the universe can give you that $10,000 in whatever way. And it might not be in the way that you think it's going to be. And that's, I mean, this is a little bit off topic, but kind of, it just brought me into this. And it was one of the things we learned at the Women in Network Marketing Conference. And one of the things that I've been thinking about recently is, we can't measure our success, especially in this business, just based on one pillar, just based on our finances. Like we can't do that, because that does not measure growth. And everything is about growth. We need to look at all 5 pillars. How's your relationship been with your family since you started this? How's your impact been in society? How's your health been since you started? How's your body? Are you moving more? Are you being more conscious of your food? Think about those things in our life. And how your mind, right? Like, have you been reading different things since you've started the business? Have you learned more? Is your perception changed? Measure all 5 of those pillars, because all 5 of them are relevant and important. And the more that we notice, the more that we attract. So if we notice that we're improving in these areas of our life, we will continue to do that on a faster pace because we're recognizing it. It's simple psychology, and it's simple law of attraction. So like the optimism, right? When you're optimistic about things, it just leads to more optimism and more to be grateful for, because you recognize more.
Yeah.
And more to be grateful for, because it comes back into your life.
Right. It's like acknowledging your growth to keep moving the needle forward. That's why I like checking in at the end of the day too, to be like, did I do one thing today that took me one step closer to the goals that I'm looking to create? You know, it could be anything. If that answer is yes, then you can rest peacefully that night. Just, are you growing further into the person that you want to be in this life, rather than just living out the pattern that you've been living out your entire life that's generating the results that you don't want to generate, essentially. So yeah, I agree with that. It's not just finances. Again, money is energy. It's a search. It's like, it's a resource. It's a neutral resource at the end of the day. It's not the end goal. It's the means to the end, right? How you use it, what your intention behind it is what really dictates your impact. But again, it's like, what is it being used for? Why do you feel that you need this? What are you going to do with that? Do you have the capacity to hold space for that? Right? You might be asking for X amount in income, but are you the person that you need to be able to handle that level of income, to manage that level of income, to hold space for it, to use it in a positive and impactful way? These are all important questions to ask when it comes to thinking about the steps that we can take to grow further into the role that we're meant to embody in this life. And again, like, more than anything, I just always want to drive home the importance of having your why. Sorry, I'm living with 5 dogs right now, so they just go crazy from time to time. Yeah, so your why, that's unique to you. That's no. Yeah, okay. We'll put a pause on.
Has anyone looked at the presentation slides from the Women in Network Marketing conference that was posted in the group a few days ago on Thursday? Okay, click on those, study those. They're
Hello?
literally all. It's all of the slides from the conference. And I don't know though, I'm pretty sure we're supposed to be getting the recording. I don't know where that is.
I was just gonna say, I didn't know that the slides were there. I'll definitely check them out. But yeah, I really want to watch.
Yeah, honestly, they were all so good. Like, I would look at Jessie Lee, Lily Zarimba, who else was super good
Yeah.
for me. Not ever, Sarah Zalecki, she was amazing. Susan Sly, also really good.
Moya, do you know if you got the recording yet? Like, did they send you an email?
Yeah.
I think I have to sign in. I checked it once and for some reason my password didn't go through, but I think I had to sign in.
Okay.
Right now, actually.
Let us know about that.
Yeah, let us know, because I don't know how long the recording is out for, but that's another thing. All the questions that you're having, like, that recording needs to be studied.
Yeah, I agree.
The recording for and Matul, just for some reference, because I know you don't really know what we're talking about. We attended a conference. It's called Women in Network Marketing, and I don't know if you know who Eric Worre is.
Most powerful women in network marketing.
Yeah, and it was put together for it's Eric Worre and his wife Marina Worre put together this conference once a year, and it's basically the top earners in network marketing, like million earners, like people making $1 million in a day sometimes, like those earners, and they come and they teach us and talk to us, and it's some there were some that were even our age. So
yeah, they're young.
It was like really, it was the first thing that me, my sister, and my cousin did when we first started our business a year ago, and it really changed our perspective and how we moved. And this year it did the same thing, but even greater. And so there's so much value just in terms of business and mindset. I mean, everything, literally absolutely everything.
It's a transformational
you need to know about life is like in this recording. It was a 3-day conference, so I don't know what exactly is in the recording, but yeah, so that's what we're talking about. And we had we do have it on our YouTube, our insights from that. If you did want to check that out, I can direct you to that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I would love to also open the floor, Matul, just for you to ask, the team, if you have any questions, if you have any curiosities. We're open books, and we value transparency. So
Mhm.
yeah, do you have anything you'd like to add or ask?
Yeah, I'd love to check out those resources if you could send those over.
Yeah.
My question was, I know you mentioned that you didn't have anything planned for the latter part of this session, but what is the intention for the Monday meetings usually?
So do you want to go ahead, Elena?
I was just gonna say, so we meet regularly throughout the week, and different calls will have different intentions. And that's kind of a rhythm that we're currently working out all together within the leadership team, especially with our structure. Monday nights calls are meant to be like almost like mastermind meetings. They're an opportunity for the community to come together and connect. And there's different components of that. So one of them being, for instance, recognition. So it's an opportunity for us to acknowledge and recognize all the growth and achievements that have taken place over even like the last week, which is incredibly important within our community because, again, like we were saying earlier, positive reinforcement, bringing to light a lot of the positive habits that are leading to results. The second component of that is typically a training. So it could be mindset oriented, it could be more like daily method of operation, something structural, something that's really going to help whatever the team needs in terms of that training and that time. That's something we're going to do within that time frame as well. And then what we've been doing over the last little while is the last component is kind of like a leadership component, which is an opportunity for anybody on the team to take on more of the leadership role. And so it's kind of like a 10 to 15-minute segment where you can share part of who you are and some of the value that you have to provide with the team. It can be in any form. It can be related to Nikken. It could just be something that you know the team would benefit from. So for instance, people have done group meditations in the past. Others have talked about the nutritionals, like something that we could collectively as a team grow from. That's your opportunity to kind of share that. So that's the structure
tonight.
We didn't do that tonight. This was that's the structure that we've had up until this point, but we're also in a building phase with Sovereign Life Community. And that's part of the reason why we now have our separate leadership team, because that leadership team is almost going to function like a management team where we're really starting to create systems, structure, direction for everything that we're looking to build and create here so that it can be as seamless as possible for any new member of the community. But that, for the most part, has been the direction that we've taken these calls in. Sometimes it can be simple as getting on the call and being like, what does the community need tonight? What does the team need tonight? And something we often say is you either need the call or the call needs you. And that might just mean that we jump on a call and there's something that one of the faces here have to share with the rest of the team and community that we would benefit from. So it's a little bit more flexible, but in my personal opinion, I see it as an opportunity for us to connect as a community and for us to really get some of the grounded, I would say direction and just even mentorship or even mindset coaching that needs to take place for us to start to make the shifts from the inside out. Because that's what your business is. It's an extension of you as an individual. So we need to work on that level as well, if that makes sense.
It does. You also mentioned some of the requirements to complete in June for this leadership team. Who's currently a part of it, and what does that process look like to get there?
So the team as of right now is 5 of us. It's me, Savannah, Sam, Shelby, and my cousin Sophia. The current requirements for being a member on the leadership team is silver or above.
I was just gonna say, I can.
Okay. Maybe
I'll go through this with you at another time because it requires you to know a little more about it. But we basically set requirements because what the leadership team is doing is we are going to be creating the structure that is needed to really make this the greatest influential movement of our generation and wellness movement of our generation. And right now that looks like creating structure, really knowing what our values are, really knowing the vision, like the big picture, like where we see Sovereign Life team taking off in its own realm, like being powered by Nikken, but not just Nikken, having its own life in terms of wellness and inspiring and leading. And we've created a leadership team because we need people who have demonstrated the leadership team. The requirements are all about people that have demonstrated their ability to lead. And right now we've made that people, or we've made that a condition of being silver, which is a leadership rank. Although the conditions that we set for people on the team right now, because not everybody is silver, and we wanted to give people the opportunity to still be part of the leadership team, because everyone has some value to give in that. And we have a few requirements that I can again go over with you, but that is just so throughout the month of June, even if you're not silver by June, if you've met all the requirements, you can join the leadership team.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be invited to join. Of course, you still have to accept it. And then by August, a 3-month period, people, those people would have to have achieved silver.
Yeah. Just not to overcomplicate it. Again, like the specific conditions of what it like looks like to be on the leadership team, Savannah will go through with you. Those are going to be consistent moving forward here on out. That's just for any new member who joins the community. This is like essentially the conditions that you need to reach. Once you reach those conditions, you'll be eligible to join the leadership team, and it's a choice whether or not you want to do that. The reason why we created June as kind of like a window was just simply so that we can give our current team a quicker opportunity to jump on board, because there's a lot of people on our team that have been here for quite some time, so we just wanted to open up that window. But in terms of the standard moving forward, it's going to be consistent throughout. And once you start to go through a little bit more of like the compensation plan, you understand how you scale and grow in this business and what ranks look like, you'll get a better understanding of what that looks like, because we want to open up that opportunity to as many people on our, well, I don't want to say as many people because we're still like refining it, but we want to open it up to team members who really want to be a community builder, who want to lead the community, the Sovereign Life community. And that's a whole other ball game.
All right, sounds good.
Solid. One thing I wanted to mention about that as well. So we've set the conditions for June. With that being said, one of those conditions that we set is you have to be present on every Monday night call. And again, we're not really being too flexible or lenient on this condition because it is for a month-long period, and because we need people on the team who are going to treat this like a job, essentially. So you need to show up to every Monday night call for the month of June, in addition to the 5 ABCs, as well as be on time and present in those calls. So what we're going to do is roll out a Google form. I'm going to create it. I don't know if I know how to create it, but I'm going to figure it out. We're going to roll out a Google form to just help us track attendance. And within that form as well, not only are you going to say, yeah, I was here present on the call, but we're going to ask everyone to give us one takeaway from the call, just as a way to demonstrate that you were present, you were attentive, you were listening. And also just because you learn more when you have to do some homework. So that's what we're going to be doing moving forward, starting June 1st. So next Monday. Other than that, thank you guys for joining tonight. If you guys have any other questions.
Oh, who wants to do the leadership segment next week? Because I think we should bring that back.
Agreed.
Who's gone twice? I think only Moya. Moya's the only one that's gone twice.
Do you want to pick someone?
Alicia, I'm gonna pick you.
I had a feeling. I was like, don't look at the camera, she won't choose you.
Oh my God.
I'm volunteering you. Come on, don't you want to do it? You do such great presentations.
I got this.
Yes, you do. You got this. Step into that role, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a lovely evening, guys.
Enjoy the rest of your night, guys. It was lovely meeting with you all.
Have a good
Nice
night,
to meet
everyone.
you too. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
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 Bye.